Okay, today we're going to be removing the motor from an E47. This happens to be a core that I bought from somebody a while back. As you can see, it has a domed top on the motor. This is a press-to-light motor. Doesn't really make a difference in how you remove it, so we're going to get started. The first thing we want to do is remove the power lug, power wire lug from the stud. Most of the time when you try to do this, the lug is going to move. As you can see, this one's actually loose. So when you try to remove the nut, a lot of times you'll snap the stud off. And there's one thing you can do to help prevent that. You try to hold the lug at the same time. But this one's been on here a very long time and it's tight. So grab a pair of pliers and use them to try to hold the lug and stop it from spinning as we loosen the nut. And hopefully we won't break the stud. There we go. If you break the stud, you're buying a new motor. Or you can install a brush kit, but usually when they're this old, you're better off just buying a motor. So we got that out of the way. Yours may have a 10 millimeter head on the motor bolt, or it may have a 3/8. 3/8 is standard. The aftermarkets tend to use the 10 millimeter. I usually do this with a cordless impact tool, but I'm going to do this one with a 3/8 open end wrench, and we'll see if they snap or if they come loose. And then I have another one, another E47 core that we're going to do after this, and we're going to use the impact and see what the difference is. But for now, let's just try the wrench and see how we make out. Well, that one came loose very easily. And that one came loose very easily. Now I know, looking at my website statistics, that a couple of people have been there looking for a video on how to remove this motor. And my guess would be that they're having a hard time getting these bolts loose. And to aid in getting them loose, you can use a torch, but it's a very difficult process because you're going to be heating where they screw into, which I'll show you after we get this off. And yes, there's a lot of thread on these. They're quite long. That's why using the impact tool makes it a little easier. You spin right out. But we'll do it the old-fashioned way. All right. Just checking the motor for a date. There is no date. Okay. Well, that came off pretty easy. We'll get into where to heat with a torch if need be. You can see this pump, this gear pump casting has two sets of holes, and one set is for press-to-light and the other set is for Bosch type motor. So you can use either one. Like I said, this one happened to have a press-to-light, but based on the fact that it has a drain plug on the front, it didn't come with that press-to-light on there. Somebody put it on there. So now we'll stop and I'm going to switch to the other core. Okay, we have our next core. This one we're going to try the impact driver, but first we have to remove the lug for the power on the motor. And again, we're going to hold it with a pair of pliers because as you can see, this one is also loose in the cap. So this is a flat top Bosch type motor, American Bosch. So first let's see if we can get this nut loose. There we go. That wasn't too bad. A lot of times these want to just snap off as well. And I found if you use the pliers and the wrench, warm it up a little bit with a propane torch, that's usually enough heat to help getting it loose. Let's see if I can get this off. And then we'll show you the other end because this one happens to have the first one-piece plug that Meyer tried, which is a military screw type connector. Show you the other end. This piece would screw on to hold it in. So, all right, let's try our driver now. See how this goes. See, that was much easier than the wrench, wasn't it? I almost wish they were stuck just so you could see how some of them are. But you heard it hammer a few times before it pop loose. So, looks like the original motor. The paint's the exact same color and chipped. Let's see what the date says on the bottom. And on the bottom of the motor, we have 4287. So the motor was made in 1987. You could also see this one has the second set of holes as well for running the Prestolite motor, 2 sets. This one's just plugged up with some crap. So there you have it. That's how it comes off. Okay, so I talked about where we're going to have to heat with the torch to aid in getting the motor bolts out. I put 2 motor bolts in because you may not know which of the 2 sets of holes are being used. So what you're going to want to do is heat about a ½ an inch on either side of the weep hole, and it's going to take a while because this is all aluminum, and aluminum's a natural heat sink, so it takes quite a while to get it hot enough to make a difference. But this will be the front side, and you don't need to heat, well, that was barely in. You don't need to heat at the very top because, as you can see, the threads are about 1/4 inch to 3/8 of an inch below the top of the casting. So you just need to stay in this area. And you, like I say, you have the weep hole. Well, in the back you have your second set of holes, and here you also have a weep hole, and it's in the same exact place, except it's harder because it's more in this area that you want to heat, but there's so much aluminum here, there's so much material to heat that you're really not going to accomplish it. So you would have to heat in this area, and it's just not a good place to try to heat. But do your best, and if you snap one of them off, it's much easier to heat on the inside where the actual bosses are that are threaded to get the broken piece out if need be. And it's pretty common to have to do that because these are wonderful grade 2 machine screws.